Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to talk about one thing that a lot of people don't think about when they're looking at buying a house. As I'm sure you know, the median price of a house in the United States has gone up about $100,000 in the past 2 years. And this is an absolutely insane amount, especially since the average salary has only gone up about 5% per year. So this has made buying a house very hard to do, especially if you don't already have a house. And a lot of us out there who don't currently own a home are really hoping that the housing market will pop and fall back down to what we're used to. However, I don't think this is going to happen, and a lot of the experts agree with me, including Dave Ramsey, who says right now is the best time to buy a house within the next 5 years. Instead of the prices of houses going way down, what I think will happen is the prices will stop increasing. So essentially they'll just kind of stay where they are for the next few years. But they won't have to drastically slash their price like a lot of us hope they will. And the main reason why I think that there won't be a big bubble popping for the housing market is that there's simply not enough houses out there. So there are too many people who want to buy a house compared to the amount of people who want to sell a house. But when buying a house, there's one major thing that a lot of people don't think about, and that is what the interest rate is on your mortgage. And in the past 6 months, the average interest rate on a mortgage has risen up from about 3% all the way up to over 5.5%, which is the highest the interest rates have been since 2008. So to some of you out there, this might not sound like a big deal. However, it's a huge deal. So in this example, I'll kind of show you how big of a deal the interest rate is. In this example, if you had a $380,000 house and you had a 30-year mortgage and a 3% interest rate, you would pay almost $200,000 in interest. So what this shows is that over the life of the mortgage, you'll pay about 50% of the principal in interest. However, if you look at it now with a 5.5% interest rate, you will pay almost $400,000 in interest. So as I'm sure some of you math nerds out there can tell, this is about double the amount you pay in interest. And this means that you'll pay more in interest than you will have paid on the balance of your house. Now, one way to pay less interest is to get a 15-year mortgage. So one thing to note is 15-year mortgages have slightly lower interest rates compared to 30-year mortgages. If you look at right now, the average interest rate for a 15-year mortgage is about 0.5% less than the 30-year mortgage, which makes it about 5%. So if you were able to buy the same house with a 15-year mortgage instead of a 30-year mortgage, you would save about $220,000. Or in other words, 2.2 million dimes. But there's one very big downside to paying it on a 15-year mortgage, and that is that you have half the time to pay it off. So you have to be able to spend a lot more each month towards the payment. For this example, your monthly payment for the 30-year mortgage would be about $2,150, and with the 15-year mortgage, it would be roughly $3,000 per month. So in order to afford this 15-year mortgage, you will likely need to look at a less expensive house. That means you may have to look in a different area and find a cheaper house, or you may have to essentially just make more money so that you can afford a more expensive house. So if you've made it this far in the video, please consider subscribing to my channel for daily financial videos. I check my analytics every day, and if you subscribe, I would definitely notice. But back to the video. Now, there are some major downsides to doing the 15-year mortgage instead of the 30-year mortgage that I have to tell you about. The first one is pretty obvious. You're putting $1,000 in your mortgage that you could have been doing something else with. If you took the $1,000 per month and invested it in the S&P 500, which has had an average growth rate of 7% over those 15 years, you could have over $300,000. And the second thing is you probably would be living a tighter lifestyle. So doing the 15-year mortgage would mean that you have to set aside $1,000 every month to pay that off. So this very well could increase the stress in your life since you have to worry about a much higher mortgage payment. So you have to look at both the pros and cons of both a 30-year mortgage or a 15-year mortgage. However, you should be aware it is an option out there. So in review, I don't think that the housing market is going to collapse. However, I do think it's done with the rapid growth. I think it will stay roughly the same. It may go down a little bit or go up a little bit over the next few years. However, since the supply is still so low, I think the most likely outcome is that the prices will stay fairly consistent. However, when looking to buy a house, you really have to be aware of how high the interest rates are now. With the average 30-year mortgage rate being at about 5.5%, which on a $380,000 mortgage would represent about $400,000 of interest. So you really have to be aware of that when you're signing up for a house. One clear way to decrease the amount you pay in interest would be by signing up to a 15-year mortgage. However, you have to be aware that you'd be spending a lot more per month on it, and you have to be aware that if you're putting the money in your mortgage, that means you're not investing it in something like the S&P 500, which has typically grown at a higher rate than 5.5% per year. But the S&P 500 also has much more risk than just putting the money towards paying off your house. So now that I'm at the end of my video, it is time for everybody's favorite segment. It is the joke of the day. Joke of the day. Joke of the day. Da 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 da. Joke, 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 joke. Joke of the day. Joke of the day. What does a house wear? A dress. What kind of building weighs the least? A lighthouse. So anyways, thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel for daily financial videos. Leave a like if you liked it, and leave a comment below if you have any comments on the video or any ideas for future videos. Bye.